Hi there. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We just left off at a, what looked to be a dance introduction. Also, we came across a dead guy, so, you know, that's pretty cool. I mean, dead people are pretty neat, aren't they? But yeah, happy Black Friday, I guess. And also Thanksgiving was yesterday. But hey, that's why I didn't upload yesterday, but here we are today. Let's see. But of course, let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. Oh, sick. It's gonna be like a stage play. Don't we like stage plays? We've heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Sholmes in the past. Boy, that's for sure. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time? So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise for Sherlock Holmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Alright. Get this great deduction on the road. I'll see if we can get reminded on what exactly he figured out. Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Man, look at fucking Natsume in the background, looking all dismayed. And perhaps even a little, discontent, even. But yeah, no, that does look like foam at the mouth. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful? Indubitably. Why is this soap set so purposely upon the dish? Like the victim's last supper, in fact. Yes. Could it be that the man who was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. I mean, okay. I mean, normally people aren't supposed to eat soap, but also, why would there be soap on the dining plate? So, if he wasn't going to eat it. But let's see. It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. What, with the soap? Also, man, I love that fucking animation of his, where he's just like, man, I'm gonna fucking give you the old 1-2, buckle your shoes. Yes, the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end, couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. I mean, I'm pretty sure eating soap in general is, like, well, I don't know. I feel like these days maybe soap is, like, non-toxic, but you still probably shouldn't eat it, you know? Like, like, some things are meant to be eaten, and some things aren't meant to be eaten, and I feel like soap is one of those things that isn't meant to be eaten. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of this plate. I mean, okay, I'll bite. The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. So that seems like, okay. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Though personally, I have a greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. Bro, why the fuck are you eating candle wax, Sholmes? You gotta stop eating random shit off the floor, man. It's not good for you. Okay, well, that's the first part of the deduction done. Now let's see. Suicide or murder? The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where you ponder the next question. Was it suicide or murder. Oh no. Suzuki seems suspicious, or, well, again, twitchy, I guess. Maybe he really did kill, Shamspear. Man, that's still a silly name. William Shamspear. The audience will recall the death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Oh no, he's gonna fucking come upon the truth, I guess. Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is a broken lock. Well, I didn't even notice there was a broken lock. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. Oh shit, you're going back in time. And the sole key was in the victim's pocket. Wait, how do you decide? How do you find that out? In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Okay, so I guess that means it wasn't murder. Alone with his inferior soap, from whence wafted an inferior scent. And for that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. Oh, so I guess it was suicide. Huh. Man, imagine killing yourself by, eating foul soap. What a way to go out. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on its way to the hereafter. Oh yeah, well yeah, he did eat soap, so that means at least he was clean on the inside. No possible perpetrator present. Well, alright. I guess that is that. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes' great deduction. Well, that was definitely something, that's for sure. What are you guys thinking? Does that check out to you, Gregson? I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, why else would the guy have soap on his dinner plate, right? If he wasn't gonna eat it. And clearly, there's no one else in the room, so, you know, it's a victimless crime, really. Well, I mean, I suppose a victim is a victim, but you know how it is. There's just one thing, Mr. Sholmes. Just one small, minor detail. You are disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruto? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap? I mean, bro, if you're poor enough, you gotta eat what you get. You gotta eat what you can, right? Like, I know people back in the Great Depression times, they'd eat like snow. They'd gather up the snow and have like snow sandwiches and such, because they didn't have anything else. So, you know, snow, you know, it's not that strange. It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but to one so destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing. Yeah, again, if you're poor, you know, you gotta take what you can get. Oh. How extraordinary! Yeah, that's one way of putting it. In truth, I have tried a little soap myself in the past. Ah, of course. Of course. That does seem in character for you, Sholmes, my good man. You've eaten it, you mean? My dear fellow, it was some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. Not sure if that's exactly how that works. And did it? As I arrived in agony on the floor and spilt the contents of my stomach. Yes, I believe it did. Oh, well hey, at least it worked for you. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. Well, again, I feel like toxic is a word, you know, not exactly poisonous. But yeah, in general, I feel like ingesting soap is a bad idea. Even though these days it's probably more non-toxic than it was back then, but still. It has an unpleasant taste, at least great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. Fair, that's a fair review. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did. There's something that troubles me as well, actually. Oh, well, what's that? It's Mr. Natsume. He's being extra twitchy, and, like, I know that's kind of his whole personality, but he seems even more on edge than usual. Gah! I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye. Yeah, that sounds like Natsume. Almost as if Mr. Sholmes' deductions touched a nerve somehow. No, oh, nonsense. Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last. I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, the great detective's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth. Yeah, you know, we gotta massage out the dumb stuff, and suddenly we're left with like the big brain plays, you know? Yes, Mr. Sholmes' observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. Yeah, you know, you're liable to cut yourself on them. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it in at an obtuse angle. That's honestly a really good way of putting it. When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. Yeah, that's where we come in and kind of just, you know, give him a little gentle massage, just like work out the deductive knots, you know? It's like it's collaborative effort, okay? No man is an island, after all. Oh wait, I didn't even read that last bit. Fuck. Alright then, let's see what we can do. Yeah, that was really important. I'm glad I read it. Yes, we must pick out the key words in Mr. Sholmes' quite brilliant deductions. And discreetly exchange them for something that makes, you know, a little more sense. Just, you know, a little tinkering, a little... It's fine, okay? If we can do that, I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Sholmes meant to say in the first place. Yeah, definitely. Once we correct him, he definitely goes along with what we say. So, you know, I'm sure he knows what he's trying to say. He just needs help getting it out. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Sherlock Holmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Okay, now we just gotta get back into the swing of things. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes, you dumb motherfucker. Okay, let's see. Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the... Okay, yeah, we read this bit. Foam at the mouth, deceased, clearly indicates the use of poison. Okay, good, good, good. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you will observe, one half of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful? Of course, indubitably, absolutely, elementary, my dear Naruhodo. Why is soap set so purposely upon the dish, like the victim's last supper, in fact? Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answers. Yeah. Well, you can't deny that a fork implies the man was eating something, or about to eat something. True. Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I should prefer to use a fork than to attempt it with chopsticks. Yeah, eating with chopsticks with a fork. Oh, eating soap with chopsticks does seem kind of unwieldy. And of course, only half of the bar of soap is left on the plate. But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap. I don't know. May we observe the soap? Is it a teacup? Is it a fork? The guy? I guess we can't examine the soap itself. What's that little stain? Is that like tea? Well, okay, I don't know. Let's just look around. Wait, can I go up or down, or no? It's just one direction. Wait, hat. Wait, there's two pieces of soap here. What the fuck? Okay, that's his hat. That's his. Yeah, and then another thing of soap. Man, either way, let me look at the teacup first. Do you think he was drinking tea with this soap? The cup's empty, so, I mean, there's no way of knowing. Ah, how about this for an idea? Perhaps the cup was full of water, and he was dissolving soap in it, so he could gulp as much down as possible. I don't know about that one, Mr. Naruhodo. Please remember that he may not have actually been the soap lover that he's been made out to be. Are you sure? I don't know, that looks like a guy who eats some soap in his spare time. I suppose you'd eat soap with a fork, would you? I don't think it's a question of which implement you'd use. You shouldn't eat soap, full stop. But then why? For the love of God, tell me! Why does a man have a fork in his hand? Oh dear. I understand your frustration, Mr. Naruhodo, but please don't take it out on me. Tell me why this dude ate some fucking soap. The point is, if we decide the man used this fork to eat the soap, we wouldn't be changing Mr. Sholmes' deduction. So I really ought to consider some other clues. Okay, fine. What about the teacup again? Oh no. Yeah, I guess that's all there was for that. Oh, what about his boot? I guess his boot doesn't matter. Why is there another piece of soap down here anyway? Look! There's more soap on the floor here. Mr. Shamsin must have really loved the stuff. Let's not jump to conclusions, Mr. Naruhodo. Look closely at the soap. Do you see that it would fit together perfectly with the half bar on the table? What the? How can that be? I think that they are two halves of the same bar that broke apart. Okay, fine. I guess I'll just present that then.
Take that!
I don't know. I wanted to present something wrong, but then I remembered that the dialogue doesn't change a whole lot depending on the wrong answers you give, which is unfortunate. Could it be how the man was about to eat it? Of course! The other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of the soap on the table. In short, Oh, wait. No, Sholmes talking. Fuck. It being the other half of the soap on the table. In short, the victim was not eating soap at all. But it's obvious, really. For no depths of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap. Bro, what the fuck? I feel... you fucking change your deductions on the fly, man. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. Man, look at the way Ryunosuke's side-eyeing him, like, even he's like, yo, what the fuck? You're literally saying the exact opposite of what you just said a minute ago. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruhodo, and one that furnishes us with the answer that we seek. London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Okay, yeah, this part we've said before. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. Okay, yeah. So we decided that's not that wasn't an option. Okay, Mr. Schultz was still pushing the soap argument then. Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it. If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. Yeah, I don't think it's that fucking bad. But there are no signs of any food in this room at all. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it? No, I don't suppose it is. Wait, is there anything on his person? Okay, well the answer seems kind of obvious, but let's just examine real quick, just to be on the double check. If the victim didn't eat the soap, then what did he eat? Oh yes, it's a real mystery, isn't it? Ah, I've got it! He wasn't interested in eating the soap at all! It was this fork he wanted to satisfy his hunger with. Okay, I've heard of eating soap, but eating the fork itself? I don't know about that one, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo, I really don't think it's helpful to continue with this line of reasoning that the gentleman had peculiar tastes. Oh, Suzaru-san is such a gentle way with words, but I know when I've been told off. Yeah, I know, I was just being a dum-dum. Don't mind me. Okay, well, what about the contents of the plate? Why was there soap on his plate to begin with? The contents of the plate is just the soap again, isn't it? Well, you know this. There's a saying in Japanese, don't you? If your food is poisoned, you might as well eat it, plate and all. Well, that's a weird saying. Well, there's an image. All I can picture now is the victim first taking a bite of the soap, and then the plate. The soap like some tofu, and the plate like a giant rice cracker. Oh dear, that sounds like a very bland combination. Yeah, you're fucking telling me. Okay, let's examine the teacup. Again. Yes, a Western vessel for the serving of infusions of dried tea leaves. It's a teacup, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. And it's empty. Ah, so we've already established that the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, there's significant evidence to suggest that he was drinking tea. My thoughts exactly. Let's see. Yes, a Western vessel. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I guess we'll bring the teacup. Maybe he had poison tea. God, there's a lot of fucking poison in these games. Yes, The victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed, cups have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisoners over the centuries. And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room. Oh, look, there's Herlock in the background. Which leads us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in this teacup. Okay, see, that makes a little more sense. The cause of death we identified. We proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this a suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. I guess. The Western vessels for infused hot drinks again. It's already featured heavily in our deductions so far. Yes. We can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shakespeare was having a drink of tea. Yeah, that does sound more reasonable. There would be nothing remarkable about that, but what troubles me is Mr. Natsume's reaction when he heard Mr. Sholmes suggest it. Yeah, he did seem kind of strange. Curious what that's about. There's more to this deduction than it seems. You must closely examine the scene of the crime again for some more clues. Gee, it's just this one fucking place over and over. Oh, but now, oh, would you look at that? He had a fork in one hand and a motherfucking teacup in the other. By the way, let me just, I don't know, I just want to keep examining the fork. See what kind of interesting fork dialogue they can have. The fork again? The victim just seems to be holding it so pointedly. It makes it impossible to let go of the idea that it must be involved somehow. Well, let's hope it turns out to be a useful clue in the end. Yeah, he's really fucking torn up about that fork. Okay, let's look at this teacup. It's empty, and it's the only cup on the table. It would appear so, yes. And when you consider those facts, Mr. Sholmes' reasoning seems highly logical. But it's always the same in these deductions. The real truth is always buried a little deeper than the great detective suggests. Mr. Naruhodo, you seem very dubious of Mr. Sholmes all of a sudden. Yeah, it's a bit strange when you think about it. But anyway, let's start with this teacup. It's another Western vessel for... It's a fucking teacup! God damn it. Okay, Mr. Naruhodo? It's a fucking teacup. I need you to fucking get on my level, okay? It's a teacup. And it too is empty. Given that he's actually holding this one in his hand, we can assume that this is a cup from which Mr. Shakespeare was actually drinking. But if that's the case, this changes everything. Everything we've deduced up to now is turned on its head. I have a bad feeling about this. I almost don't want to say it. Yeah, I know exactly how you feel. Well, I guess we're just gonna throw it out there, you know?
Take that!
Did the man dine and die alone? This other teacup suggests the answer. Yes, there were 2 teacups in this room all along. In other words, this is a strong indication that at the victim's last supper, there was a guest present. What was it, Bruce Fairplay? That looks like his fucking character model in silhouette. At the very least, we can say now with certainty that somebody else was here in this room last night, taking tea with the victim. What are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable! To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Do you mean to say that you know exactly who was in this room at the time of the victim's death? Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is a broken lock. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now. I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the Halcyon days of eating too much soap. Can't we though? The soap argument made a lot more, well, it didn't lead to such unfortunate places, you know? But the identity of the guest who was in here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about. Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. No, I suppose not. Huh. Hey, I got some glasses, a book, a candle, a door. I mean, the broken lock seems. Let's re-examine. Oh dear, the latch is most definitely broken, isn't it? The door was kicked in by Mr. Natsume, according to what Mr. Garadeb told the inspector. Oh yeah, duh, that's what it was. I forgot about that part where fucking Natsume just kicked the door down like a total badass. Who knew his short, thin little legs had so much strength in them? I'm not sure the length of his legs is in any way significant here. Oh, perhaps this says more about the poor state of the door than about Mr. Natsume's strength, actually. Careful. If you ever heard that remark, you'd almost certainly have a lively response. I don't know. Can this broken lock really tell us anything about who was here? I don't know. Let's just look around. At first glance, it seems that the only things in this room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially. I wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read The Picture of Monsieur Lecoq, Canterbury Yearnings, and A Meal for Gaboriau. Where have we heard those books titles before? Wait! I'm sure I've heard those titles before! Yeah, you think? It could just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yes. On the day of the unfortunate incident when Miss Green was stabbed, Soseki-san had just been to a bookshop and bought them. That's right. And now those 3 titles are here in the room of the victim. Yet Mr. Natsume claims never to have been here before. Ah. What does this mean, do you think? I really don't know what to make of it. Yeah, familiar books indeed. Now what about this empty bottle? It's empty. Empty of liquid, but full of air. That makes you think, doesn't it? Yeah, you're a real fucking philosopher, my dude. It makes me think that you're full of hot air. We should be thinking about who else was in the room at the time. Bother. Susanoo-san's quip and response was cleverer than my original riddle. Yeah, it happens, man. Well, I guess we'll present this pile of familiar books.
Take that!
Which I'm sure will not incriminate our good friend Soseki Natsume in any way whatsoever. Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is a pile of familiar books. Quite so. It's no coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth. Ah! Mr. Natsume, You purchased these books 4 days ago at a second-hand bookshop. That's just a coincidence! In that case, you'll be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment. Aw, man. Look, I guess Sozeki fucking murdered, our guy, Shamspear. No! Never! Not negotiable! If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. Yeah. Jeez, look at that fucking weird silhouette. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. Indeed. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could have only brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Oh no, look at his little poses. Oh, that's stylish. Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. Oh, there he goes. Dead as a doornail. In short, there's only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in his room last night as a result of poisoning. And that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor... Oh, damn. Look at their interruptions. And look at his face. He's what a silly guy. I guess Ryunosuke doesn't like being interrupted. Was you, Mr. Sozeki Natsume? Yeah, fuck me. Thus concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes' great deduction. Well, that's, ain't looking too hot for our boy Sozeki. But then again, neither is our boy Shamspear. Unfortunate. Gah! Not again! Not again! Not again! Not again! Well then, Mr. Natsume. It would appear you're gonna have to accompany me down to the yard. Again. Oof. But wait! Hold your horses! Yes? Door! Key! Locked! Entry! Exit! Entirely impossible! He's so flustered he's being even stranger than normal. I mean, I would be too if I was in his position. What? You think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy. What? You live in the same building after all. You'd have had plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. But... Misery me! You could have poisoned. Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. Ah, the facts... sorry. The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache. Ah, you horrible Herlock Sholmes! He really has found himself an arch-rival now, hasn't he? Come on now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage waiting. Welcome, student, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire! I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but... You have to help me! Please! Please, I'm innocent! Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it. It's not like I got other things to do. And one more thing! Oh, yeah? My poor little kitty cat! Please give him his breakfast for me! Oh yeah, poor Wagahai. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken, Suzaki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in a case of murder. Thanks to the incriminating deductions of the great detective. Well, and also me. I mean, we played a role in it too. Huh. Ah, my dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. I mean, yeah, we're the ones who corrected his deduction. After all, as far as Sholm's initial deduction was, you know, is that he was alone. We're the ones who proved that there was someone else in there. Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. Yeah, fuck that guy. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now. Yes, that's right. Ah, and of course... What? Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Garadeb, who discovered Mr. Shamspear. Ah, Mr. John Garadeb, yes. I expect we could find him in his sitting room on the top floor as usual. Right. We must remember to go to talk to him later then. Alright. Well, now that we've gotten that the dance of deduction out of the way, we've reached a good stopping point, I would say. Boy, once again, it seems poor Natsume has found himself with another string of bad luck. And this time we were the ones to blame, since, you know, we're the ones who corrected Herlock's great deduction after all. But oh well, I'm sure even if Natsume was in fact there at the time, you know, I'm sure he's not actually the one who did it, you know. He's a nice guy. He wouldn't just poison his friend like that. But anyway, I guess now we can begin investigating the crime scene and doing all the, you know, the assorted stuff on the next episode. But until then, I will see you around.